What's your name?
I'm Ralph ZP.
Okay. What do you do?
I'm into music. I'm a musician and also a student.
A student where?
Takrady Technical University.
What do you study?
Study textiles.
Just as an apple a day keeps you away from the doctor, RakGhana Street Quiz puts laughter on your face all day and also makes you learn something new. My name is Novi. Enjoy this episode of our Street Quiz here at Takrady Technical University. If a man is a mister, a woman will be?
A woman will be Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-I-S-S-E-S.
Spell mister.
M-I-S-T-O-R.
If a man is a mister, a woman is a?
A woman is a mistress.
Spell mistress.
M-I-S-T-R-E-S-S.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S. Mrs.
Spell mister.
M-I-S-T-E-R.
Good.
If a man is a mister, how would you call a woman?
If she's not married, it's Miss. But if she's married, Mrs.
You smart.
Spell mister.
Mr. M-I-S-T-E-R.
Now spell Mrs.
M-I-S-S-E-S.
No.
A woman is?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
A woman is?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
Jesus.
Spell Mr.
M-I-S-T-E-R.
If a man is a mister, a woman will be?
A miss, or if married, a missus.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S, Mrs.
No.
A woman is a Mrs.
Yes.
Spell Mr.
M-I-S-T-E-R.
Now spell Mrs.
M-I-S-S-E-S.
If a man is a mister, what is a woman?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
If a man is a mister, a woman is?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
Spell Mr.
M-A-S-T-E-R.
A woman is?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
Mrs. M-R-S.
No, God.
If a man is a mister, a woman will be?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
My guy.
Spell Mr.
M-I-S-T-E-R.
Very good.
If a man is a mister, a woman is a?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-I-S-S.
Spell Mr.
Mr. M-R. Mr.
If a man is a mister, a woman is a?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S. Full stop. M-I-S-S-E-S.
If a man is a mister, what is a woman?
Mrs. or Miss.
Yes. That's my boy.
Now spell Mrs.
Mrs. M-R-S. Dot.
If a man is a mister, a woman is a?
Mrs.
Spell Mrs.
M-R-S.
What is the tongue used for?
It's what enables us to speak first, and we can use it to taste what is salt and what is sugary or the warmness of something.
What is the tongue used for?
A tongue. It's used to taste.
What is the tongue used for?
Swallowing things.
What is the tongue used for?
Used for taste.
What is the tongue used for?
The tongue is plenty things too.
Like?
Like talking,
Are you sure? No, sir. Are you funny?
laughing, eating, everything, licking, everything.
Oh, wow.
What is the tongue used for?
It's used for so many things, like for tasting of salt and sugar, in helping in pronouncing some vocabularies and some alphabets, like let's say the vowels and the consonants.
Thank you for the word so sweet.
What is the tongue used for?
To know whether something is bitter or sweet. Yeah.
What is the tongue used for?
For tasting.
Thank you.
What is the tongue used for?
The tongue. Okay, when you want to talk, use the tongue to talk.
Jesus.
You know, when you want to eat, the tongue helps us to eat. So that's what the tongue is used for.
The tongue is used for eating and also talking. Without the tongue, you can't talk and you can't eat.
You.
So what is the tongue used for?
For kissing, rubbing and stuff, for tasting, you know.
What is the tongue used for?
It helps in tone pronunciation of words.
Yes.
What else?
Oh, it helps in swallowing food.
We here.
What is the tongue used for?
tongue is used for tasting, for speaking. Yeah, I think that's all I can say.
Where can you locate your tongue?
In my mouth.
So what kind of music do you do?
I'm into cheap pop. I call it cheap pop. That's my own style of music I do.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's cheap pop. It's like hip hop in chi. So the English turn into chi. Yeah, this is how it is.
So give me a freestyle.
Okay, tie. Kwese me rapendo gina kwese magic. Kotongwa boje se fa beje Panasonic. De be bebo me din te se Titanic. De menyu mu kudwa so me mechia go betonic. Rap na hyehyɛ me kwase boni ni gu no.